That man you're looking at, Chike Ricky Chow, was acquitted in connection with the killing of a 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton following a trial in Richmond County, South Carolina. Now, he was accused in a 2023 shooting at a convenience store, and he was wrongfully suspected of shoplifting 4 bottles of water.
This one has, the community's divided, I can say that. When this first came out in 2023, I remember the outrage that folks had. I remember the frustration, on social media and in real life when this occurred. And I can say that I had this on my radar as one to watch when they charged, and when they decided to move forward. I can tell you that I a couple things. This was great lawyering across the board. The DA's office, I should say the solicitor's office, because it's South Carolina, they decided to go forward with a murder charge. I think that was the misstep, right? That
It
it
was
was
the
not
high bar.
extremely high bar. We're not talking about high jump or hurdles. We're talking about pole vault height. This is extremely high. And not the standard of and the burden is still the same. We're still talking about reasonable doubt. We're still talking about that standard, which is in fully convinced, entirely satisfied. That's what the standard is, right? But because it's murder, we're talking about malice. We're talking about you had the thought process to do this and the intention to go out and kill this.
Well, let's talk a little bit further about it. 'Cause prosecutors argue that Chow pursued the teen for more than 130 yards before shooting him.
More than a football field.
More than the football field, he
Yep.
died from a gunshot wound to the lower back, which
Yep.
indicated he was running away.
So
So,
and that's why I say communities are frustrated. I watched the interview with his mother. She's frustrated. I think this is an over prosecution, or I should say, a misselection of the right type of charge. If you
well,
charge
what
him
did
with manslaughter, conviction all day. First degree murder, premeditation, not at all. I think before they started, there was absolutely no chance that this young man, I should say this gentleman would have been convicted for murder. Manslaughter, I think there is an extremely significant chance that your statistical numbers jump because you remove that malice. You remove that premeditation. And once you remove that, it's a different ballgame now. And so that's the first thing I'll say where there was a misstep. I think the prosecutor, I watched his closing argument, solicitor, I should say, and his closing argument was well crafted. They attempted to paint the picture at connecting the death to the water bottle. They draw the $1 bill up on the board, right? And it's $1 in red and talks about a water bottle. And he asked the question, well, what value can you put on life? It was just masterfully like a little bit of silence, just the right amount where you could have folks thinking about it. And this is me watching and listening as a student of the profession. We're all practicing, right? And so we're trying to perfect what we do. And so if you can watch and see other people do it, you can get better at it. That's the goal, right? And
Mhm.
so you look for people that are good, both on the prosecutor side and the defense side, and they're like, "Hey, I'll use that." I can tell you that, the defense attorney they brought in, you see him back there to the right of the officer, the black gentleman, Sean, he had maybe one of the best closings I've ever heard. And for me, I think that is my bread and butter. Had I've had a judge tell me that judge that sat on the bench for almost 20 years, that I gave him the best closing argument he's ever heard. So I feel like I'm pretty good at closing argument. That what he did there was probably one of the best I've ever heard.
and that was very sad and tragic about the verdict for that family because they were obviously sobbing in court afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. It's emotions across the board, but remember, everyone's entitled to a defense, right? And so his defense team laid out the foundation for an opportunity to exploit what I think was mischarge of the prosecutor. So Sean starts off his closing by saying, I remember listening to on the radio an individual that would tell stories that everyone thought they knew all the answers. And he say, tell the whole stories and tell those stories. And he say, get to the end and say, but now I'm going to tell you the other part. And he used that as a platform to say, hey, This case, the prosecutors have told you what they think you know because they think what science supports is that if you hear what you believe you already know, you'll accept that as the truth. But even though there's something else out there that could ultimately be the truth. And using that way of breaking down, listening to these radio stories, and now how this case, and how the prosecutors have failed to tell you the whole story, and how he said, look, it's not about this water bottle, but it's about self-defense, and how they read part of the transcript but didn't read you the whole thing. And he said, well, now I'll tell you the rest of the story. Like,
Masterful
oh,
inside the courtroom, yes.
if you're talking about painting a picture, that is one of the best pictures I've ever seen while watching a trial. I was captivated. I mean, the prosecutors, they go long, right? They're gonna talk for a long time. They have all kind of slides and PowerPoints because that's what they're required to do. They teach them to do that at prosecutors' clinics. They list the law, make sure the jury can see it. A lot of time that push you to sleep.
Mhm.
Maybe an hour and 20 minutes he was up there, maybe hour 15. Sean, 39 minutes. 39 minutes, really theatrical, really energetic, sat in the witness box a couple times, got up, moving around, and you can see the juror, you can see, you can feel, I should say, that he had them eating out the palm of his hand. While I agree that this moment is tragic. This young man lost his life, and I think he lost his life, and there should have been a consequence for that if the charge would have been correct. But for the charges as they were, a murder charge, the defense that was laid out was the exact defense that I would have done.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.